Welcome back. Today we're talking about how to delegate more effectively in your business. Over the years, I've gotten better and better at delegating, and I'm so glad that I did because it's what's given me freedom and really helped me create a business versus just having a job. So when I was thinking about this topic and what I could really share with you that would really help, I wanted to share it from my perspective so it would not be the same thing that you've already heard before, but some unique things from my perspective because I've been in business for 13 years and I've gotten to a point where I really do have freedom of time. I can take weeks of time off if I want to. I mean, I love my work, but I also love my family and I love to mountain bike. And it's only because of being able to really delegate the right way that I've been able to achieve this. Now, the first thing that people think of often when they're going to hire somebody else to do what they currently do is, no one's going to be able to do it the same as me, or no one's going to be able to do it as good as me. But think about it a different way. Let's look at it from a quality control perspective. You're still going to oversee it. You're going to make sure it's done to your expectations, but you can actually have more people do it. And so you can do a higher quantity of work and you can still oversee and make sure that the quality is where it needs to be. Now, I want to share an example that's not related to my business, but it's probably the best delegating example that I can think of because I consider myself to be the best church cleaner there is. Okay, so in my home congregation, we have volunteer assignments. And I was given the assignment to be in charge of the building cleaning. And a lot of people I've noticed before me that took this cleaning assignment, they would be there every week doing most of the cleaning themselves. So they became the janitor. And that wasn't the expectation. I wasn't giving the assignment, hey, will you be the janitor? They just asked, will you oversee the cleaning assignments and get a lot of people involved so that we can spread the load of keeping the church building clean. And so by this point, I'd already learned how to delegate, but man, I love this. Instead of saying, yeah, I'm going to be there each week to clean and passing around a sign-up list, hey, does anyone else volunteer to help me this Saturday? What I did instead is I took the congregation list alphabetically and I said, well, if I invite 15 people, probably half of them will show up and accept their assignment. So I'm going to send a personal text message to each one of them and say, hey, you're assigned on Saturday the 8th. The next 15 people, I would send them a text, hey, you're assigned, what would the next Saturday be? Saturday the 15th. So I extended enough invitations or gave enough assignments to make sure that every job needed to be done. Some people would clean the sink, some people would do the vacuuming, and I made sure that all the jobs would be filled. And my role was just to make sure that people came. I was there to unlock the doors. Sometimes I even delegated that to somebody else. If I was going to be out of town, I would give my key to somebody else so they could be there to open the doors. Now, there are some benefits to doing this that I want to explain because you might think, well, isn't that just being lazy? Like instead of me doing the work, I'm just making other people do the work? Well, I have to say, the church was always clean and we had everyone participate and a lot of people took more pride in the cleaning of the church. What happened previously is the same few volunteers would come each week and they would be there for 2 or 3 hours doing that assignment to get the church to the cleanliness that we wanted. But now I had more people there. It was more of a variety, more people were involved, but it took less time. Sometimes 45 minutes, the job would be done. Okay, so let's come back to business. I want to talk about video editing because that's something that I've delegated a lot. I've hired a lot of video editors, and it was also something that was really hard for me to let go of. Or it's something that a lot of my colleagues have a real hard time letting go of the editing because they feel like I know exactly my style. No one else can do it the way that I like. My invitation is when you first hire somebody to do your editing, expect 80%. Because if you would get it to 100% in the beginning, if somebody gets it to 80%, you know that you found a winner. Okay, because they're not you. That's totally right. But they can get it 80% of the way there. Just to give you a little bit more context here, I created a system, right? And for hiring a new editor, I could say, this is what we started with. This is our finished video. This is what it looked like. And so they can kind of see, okay, that's the goal. And then I could give them, I give them a folder of similar starting assets and they can then try and get it to exactly what I wanted. And if they get it 80% of the way there, then I know, okay, that is awesome. Like I just hired somebody and very quickly they can get it most of the way. And then I just show them, all right, here's some other tweaks that I want you to make. Here's a different transition you can use. Then they can go back to work and get it 90% of the way. And then again, 5%. So in the beginning, I'm still putting in my time to train and to review and give feedback. But eventually, they'll get to a point where they can get it 100% of the way there without me doing anything. Now, in my 13 years of this business, I've made a lot of mistakes. And I think one of my greatest strengths in being able to succeed as an entrepreneur is my ability to accept mistakes as learning experiences. I mean, it's cliche, you've heard that before, but if you really you make a mistake, you learn from it, and you still keep moving forward, I would say that's a requirement in entrepreneurship. You've got to have that ability if you want to succeed long term in business. Well, I want to invite you to extend that same privilege to those that you work with, those that you're delegating or assigning tasks or hiring, right? Allow them to make mistakes, but turn it into a learning experience. If you're still not sure about this delegation thing, I mean, really you need to make the decision. Do you want to create a job for yourself so you're still self-employed, or do you want to create a business, right? If you really want to create a business that can work independently of you, that can give you freedom of time, then you've got to learn how to delegate. But there's a right way and a not so right way of doing it. I guess the not so right way would be to just look at yourself as a taskmaster or being lazy. But instead, if you can look at it as, I'm still going to be working on my business. If you delegate right, you can create a system and have people run those systems, but then you can create other systems and you can actually focus on growth. You can be the visionary. You can create instead of just doing the daily tasks. Now, I've got a gift for you, okay? I wrote a book. I published this earlier this year, but it took me 2 years to write. This is a book on how to leverage YouTube to generate leads in your business. And so if that's something that you want to do, I want to give you my book for free. Now, you do need to pay the shipping cost, but as long as you cover that, this is my gift to you. Just go to natesyoutubebook.com. I know if you read this book, you'll really be able to do what I've done on over 50 different YouTube channels and really leverage YouTube to generate leads. I've helped channels produce 7 and 8 figures just from following this strategy. Enjoy.